Little Women.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and tonight's the night because I fucking finally, after 4 episodes, remember what my tagline was going to be for the opening of the show. My name is Travis Snell. We need to talk about Harrison, and I'm joined by Mr. Bob Odenkirk himself.
Kill us, Taylor Field.
And I am Don't Trust Kirklin Patzer.
Technically, I guess it was the kill list, but I feel like it was more the fuck you guys list. You know, that was the official title of the list, Taylor.
Yeah, I just want to keep it PG.
Oh,
of
course.
For the kids.
Yeah, says this guy who was talking about certain things last episode.
I feel like the fuck you list could be so different from a kill list. It's just like, you're not really going to do anything. You just don't like those guys.
If they would have found it, they'd be like, no, these are just the people I want to bang. Like, don't worry about it.
My fuck list, not my fuck you list.
We better, I just misspelled it. So we best get into it because we're raring to go. I think this is going to be a really fun episode because we've got tons to talk about. But if you're just joining us, go back a few episodes. We've reviewed every single episode so far. I did every season. And thanks for people watching on YouTube. Those are doing quite nice. So, because I sometimes check numbers, but not all the time. So I looked, those like, oh, nice. So we do this every Sunday, Mondays when it drops. So Taylor Field, when these episodes are live and when we put them into the atmosphere, where can people find our listen to list?
Our atmosphere. You can find it with your internet connection in the search bar. GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerseCast is our Twitter, and GeekVerse is our Facebook. Be sure to tune in on our Facebook because you can find eventually our fan base community Christmas poll that will be popping off there at the right time.
That means Taylor does not know when that is, or does
we gotta talk. We gotta talk roster. That's what we gotta do.
We keep saying that, but we have to. Like, okay, so when do you want to drop this? Right?
I was thinking within the first week of December. That's what I was thinking.
So here's what I'm pitching on the GV3 newscast this week. We make it a segment. We talk about the list together. I think the people would like that. We'll put it last. So if people don't like it, they don't got to worry about it. Like, oh, your fucking Facebook polls. I don't tune in for that. I just tune in for the fuck you list. But that's what we'll do. Give us your list so far, and me and Kirklin can yay or nay or kind of bat some other names around. We'll do that. So because Turtle Dove Sky has to be in there. But anyway, so you can find that. Weekly reviews of Hawkeye, 2 newscasts, retro Spider-Man reviews coming, weekly reviews of Chucky, just popping off. Right now, 6 casts a week. We just put back into the feed. I cannot believe we did this. But because there are certain characters back in the Chucky series, me, Taylor Dillon, and Emily reviewed The Cult of Chucky in 2017 for Netflix and Fail. And we put that in. And it's worth it because I at one point just skipped editing and Dylan was like, this is the worst movie of the year. So very positive one, but I'm sure there was lots of fun. So go check that out while you check Taylor's Chucky reviews, which Chucky, the show, much better than Cult of Chucky. I'll put the Travis stamp on approve it right now. So what else? Patreon, that is the best way to listen. You get episodes ad-free, exclusive, and early. And the more you support us, the more content. That's why you're getting 6 episodes a week, folks, and you're going to be getting more. We got big stuff coming up. We got Spider-Man. We got Matrix. We will be doing Matrix. Wow. Matrix. We'll be doing a Matrix retro thanks to you guys. Comic book versions will be releasing this week, covering the 2015 Matt Fraction Hawkeye run. So just tons of content. So head down links below. You can look at the audio and video feeds and everywhere to subscribe, support. Give us a review, a nice positive one as you check that last newscast. Bounce out Mr. He's not the Mandarin guy, or begging for money, because you know what we're begging for? Just for you guys to listen. What were you gonna say, Kirk? I think you're gonna take a shot at the Mandarin guy again.
I held my tongue.
There you go. Yeah, he'd probably come back.
I don't want to summon him.
Yeah, I wish this was the Mary fucking Kill podcast, which I have a lot to say when we get into the spoilers. So I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like I was gonna shout something out, but maybe I will remember it later. So, Taylor Field, what did you feel about episode 4? What was the episode called? Shit.
H is for hero.
Yeah. H is for hero. Yeah, I didn't actually catch it in the show again, so I'm
the little effect. I think it was on a suitcase this time around. Yeah,
it was yellow font or something like that.
I'll catch it on the rewatch. I usually do a rewatch. So, Taylor Field, H for hero.
Yeah, this episode was, to me, it was definitely a pick-me-up. That's saying a lot because the other episodes were they were great, and this one just felt like, okay, we're really getting into some nitty-gritty stuff. I'm super excited because there were some things that I was waiting for and wanting to see, and I feel like close characters to Dexter's kind of circle developed into storylines that I'm really excited to see that unfold because you kind of like go along thinking one thing and just kind of like, I don't know. They play with how you're kind of thinking it out, I guess. But I'm happy with how Kirklin's just dying laughing. What is it?
What's going on?
I'm expecting you to say there's a big plot twist with a character that you didn't see coming.
Right.
Oh no, I'm still. We're gonna talk about that.
Oh, you're still gonna be on the defense. Okay.
I am
Fucking
going
Johnny
up to,
Cochran over here.
I'm not gonna
talk,
say anymore.
I guess.
Yeah, it's a spoiler talk. We'll get
People
into that.
like it is, but people, if you're in episode 4, you know what we're referring to, and it's gonna be a good conversation. Kirk and Batzer.
Yes, I love this episode. If you listen to our last episode, I said that episode was my favorite so far, and this one surpassed it. I think it was just a really, really intense episode. A lot of interesting things that came out about certain characters, and a lot of great Deb and Dexter stuff that's already been, excellent in previous episodes. I think it's in this episode, it's like the best it ever has been.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a couple things that happened that reminded me of just like I felt like the show has taken us back to like classic Dexter, whether it was, I don't know, a certain I won't say anything, but you know what I mean. Just certain things that made me really just remember the original show, and I think some of that stuff was so great in the original show. It's so great to have it back, and yeah, I just love this episode. I'm excited to talk about the specifics, and it's definitely got me itching for more. And what episode is this? 4, you said? So how many total? 9?
6 left. No, 10.
Oh, 10. Okay, that's nice. We got an extra one than I thought. So, yeah, no, I'm loving it, and I'm excited to talk about the spoiler sections. I'd say my non-spoiler review. Keep watching.
Oh yeah, Kirklin, you want to guess how many hours ago I gave to the thumbnail and how it's still not at the YouTube screen? I even did message him in our group chat. I said, "Hey,
well, I put it in the group, the Google Drive. What do you mean?
you always put the room like I."
You told me to put it on the YouTube.
I can never tell because sometimes I just like ask for it and you're like, "Oh, I did already, Chief." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And then times like this, "Oh, why didn't you do it, Chief?" Taylor's always saying Chief off.
I'll say 7 hours ago.
Okay, we were in the waiting room here for like 10 minutes. You could have verbally told me. I was looking at my Facebook message.
I thought you did. No, you're busy eating some fucking Yule log, which I can't find a Yule log anywhere. Not a non-ice cream one, like regular Yule logs. Nowhere. Just
Do you burn one of those? Or is that a pastry, or what is that?
It's a type of cake. It's like rolled up and stuff like that. Yeah, but if I can't find, I'm gonna get some eggnog ice cream soon because I finally found 2 big 2 liters of eggnog. I bought them. Their last 2, I took them. That old lady was there. I walked in with the eggnog, and Emily's like, "Where'd you get those?" I said, "I had to beat an old lady with a stick to get these." I did. So, speaking of old ladies with sticks, that doesn't exist in this episode. But you know what exists? Some great fucking Dexter. Because it's going to be tough because I think the finale or maybe one other episode might top it. The pilot is just, for me, still so good that it's hard. Like, it's just at such a bar because it felt like they nailed it. But this is the closest, and maybe when a rewatch happens, which it will, it could surpass one. So it's definitely my second favorite, maybe my first favorite. I love this episode. I think, like Kirklin was saying, there's definitely some vibes from the old show. There's kind of there's vibes, but there's also just like a lot of callbacks. I know people might be like, well, there's been callbacks for all of it, but like this had like a different type of vibe. And there's just in the moment, at the beginning of the episode. So I will say for non-spoilers, I hate the actual Dexter New Blood logo thing. Whenever they do that, I don't think it looks good. I think it's just kind of cheesy.
It was like a jump scare for me today. I was like doing dishes while I was watching it, and it's just like, whoa, that happened right there. It's loud.
Oh yeah, it's so good. I was talking about jump scare. I was watching Spider-Man 2 with Gwen, and there's a moment where Doc Ock pops up. She like it got her complete jump scare. She actually moved back. It's been a great experience watching those with her. But obviously she wasn't watching this. So at the beginning though, so they show you Dexter New Blood, and then they give you a bunch of like Mission Impossible like shots of things that you're gonna see in this episode. And they showed one frame, and I was like, man, we're about to be in for a banger, and we are now. It feels similar last week when we talked about Ethan, where they're introducing some stuff which is intriguing. I think they're doing it well, but it also has like a high risk, high reward. Like if you do this wrong, it could be very cheesy. It could feel like, especially in the show Dexter. You guys haven't rewatched it, but recently, but I've rewatched it many times than I did the retro. there's a worry as far as there's just certain tropes that they already did that it's like you got to worry if you do this again, is it just going to feel repetitive? I hope that they know, especially after all these years, they found a different route. So there's some stuff in here I question. There's stuff in here I'm definitely simmering on, but the overall episode was great. There was intensity, there was intrigue, there was new developments, and I think it's doing a really good job of bouncing all the storylines. We talked about last week the potential big bads. Right now there's like 3 or 4 like main storylines, and I'm enjoying them all. It's not like some later seasons of Dexter when it'd be like, hey, I just want to know what's going on with Dexter, and then they had like 5 different storylines, like, oh, this is just to fill an hour. This doesn't feel like this. It feels like it's all connected, you know? So yeah, really enjoyed this episode. Very much looking forward to next week, because I think I don't want to say that. I think next week or the week after we're going to be getting some really good scenes and stuff going on. So I'm very excited. So anything non-spoilers we want to say before we break down H is for Hero? Well, let's take that was my bad. I went to get the ad break ready. I wasn't even looking at you guys. At least to show you had no. But fair enough. Listeners didn't know. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll take our first ad break, and then we're going to get into full spoilers. So if you've not seen this week's episode, come back later. We'll be right back. And we're back. So, of course, there's tons of things to talk about here. You know, Harrison's going through some big changes. We got some fun stuff with Deborah. We got a new case for Angela. Even Dexter's having some big revelations. But I want to talk about what Taylor hinted about in non-spoilers, because I need to hear his... If people don't know, if you're tuning in for the very first time, first episode, me and Kirklin are like, oh, that's Clancy Brown is the guy. He's the bad guy. That's who is going to be the big bad, doing all these bad things to ladies. And then he said, well, no, those could be anybody's eyebrows. And we say, okay, that's fine. So Taylorfield defends that. And then the next week, it's like he was that was the second week. The first week was he was missing for hours. And Taylor said, oh, well, who checks their phone? You know, which is a fucking lie, but that's fine. And then last week, Kurt, who's been looking for his son the entire episode, he says his son FaceTimed him and he lies to Dexter. And Taylor goes, oh, well, he was just drunk. I'm sure in the next episode, he'll say he was just drunk and he'll talk about his son, you know, being dead. So 2 things happen. One, that he did not retract that statement. He doubled down on it and is clearly hiding something. So Taylor was already wrong there. So if this was court, not looking good. And then if this was court, we also got surveillance footage of him leading a girl to a barn door that looks oddly similar to a barn door earlier in the season where a girl got shot from running. So defend your client Kurt here, Taylor feels. Like, do you literally still think he's innocent? He's not the big bad.
So all I'm seeing in this episode is he
spoken like a true lawyer. I gotta say, just his introductory sentence here.
He saw Harrison do a great deed, you know, saving the school. Gave him a drone. Personally, now that is a very, very nice thing to do.
I want to stop you so bad.
On top of that,
but I'll let you go.
On top of that, this girl, like, he gave her money to get out of town, all that stuff. She made a bad choice, and then he was like, okay, you know what? I'll give you a job. What a good Samaritan. Like, that is just great. Just giving her a job, difficult times, just trying to earn a buck to get home. Just wonderful. And, you know, probably can't afford to, like, stay anywhere. So, yeah, she's got an extra room. You know, Matt's not using it, so that's great. She can stay there until as she's working at the restaurant. I don't see anything yet that's convinced me that
it's the same barn, though. It's the same barn.
Can we confirm it's the same barn?
Yes.
How do we confirm it's the same barn? We have a
Photos.
side-by-side?
It's literally the same landscape. It's the big icy open field. Like,
well, there's many icy open fields all around there.
I just think you're like, but you legitimately, you don't actually think he's still a good guy, right?
I am willing to say that I go probably like 60%. Actually, I'll go 59% that I think he's good.
Oh,
and the other percent, it's changing. It's constantly changing. But
like, what's it gonna take? Like, what gets you that 100%? Does he have to be standing over someone with a knife?
I need to see him in that same position, no mask, with the gun in his hand, shooting this colored haired lady.
Okay, so the drone, that was 100% just to get to Dexter's house to pry. And the other reason is because my theory is he, in the town, right? We need to talk about Ethan. In the town, Harrison's a hero, right? And he went after a bad person. He stopped a bad person. And I bet in Kurt's mind, he might have thought, man, what if Harrison came across, you know, Matt shooting this buck and wanted to take out some like justice on him, something like that. So I think the drone, him going there, whether he has a theory like I'm proposing or not, he was going there, like Dexter said, like to pry. He was fishing and he nibbled. I think that was complete just false motivations to go over there. He really didn't care about Harrison like being the hero and everything, because right away he's questioning Dexter. Dexter fucked up. Dexter was trying to be too personal. He was trying to be too chummy, and he screwed up by talking about the boat, and then he said a bunch of other stuff. So that was good. I like seeing that Kurt is like, being smart that way, and Dexter's a little off his game. But yeah, I don't think at all. And like again, me and Kirklin have thought this since episode 1. But even then, when Taylor said no, I was like, okay, maybe I'm reading this wrong. There could be a way that this isn't him, like maybe there is something not lining up. It's just they showed us this is the other old billionaire, and they showed us the eyebrows. So I thought, okay, maybe Taylor's onto something. But as the weeks go on, it's just the evidence is just overwhelming. And again, we're gonna see something. The second I saw that, because the whole episode, I'm like, okay, what's gonna happen? Because when he was offering the job, I'm like, oh, this is going to Taylor's camp. Like if he's just gonna like help us lay out. But then once I saw that barn door, I was like, okay, they're just doing the slow burn, but they're really just feeding you like, no, he's the bad guy. So, Kirklin, what do you think about Kurt this week?
Yeah, well, like that's what I found interesting. I think it was just last episode when there was a couple moments where it seemed like, I don't know, we're getting away from Kurt being the bad guy. Like there was just some other factors that were introduced, and I'm like, oh, okay, we're kind of going this route. And then again, it was sprinkled in this episode when he's helping this girl out. But like, I still have my suspicions, so I'm like, no, he's gonna chop this girl up. Like, what's gonna happen here? And then no, he's like, no, I'll give you a job, and we'll get you on your feet and all these things. Because I thought like he was gonna get sketchy right then and there, but then he was just like offering her a job and all these things. But then we get out to him
in
like
front of everybody.
He's basically driving to like the Shining house. Like Jesus, they're so isolated. There's like no witnesses there. I'm like, that girl's never getting out of this location. And I was actually surprised again that we didn't get that like full on reveal that he just is the big bad.
Maybe because it's not. Maybe
it's a
because
slow burn. I I can't say 100% he's guilty yet because we haven't seen him do it for sure. But I'm still in the guilty camp.
So Taylor, you last week said that he was going to take back the whole, because he was just drunk, and that's what he said about his son. He did not take that back, and he's lying about talking to his son.
Yes, and I can agree with that because I didn't know what would happen in this episode, and now that's what happened. So,
but no, defend that one because you said, "Oh, it's probably just a mistake."
Well, I can't defend it. We just watched the episode, and it's not true, so I can't defend it.
So that doesn't I feel like that should tip you off even more, so that he's definitely bad because he's like, why is he lying about this? Like Taylor, he's your guy, he's your boy.
I think he is lying so that he can get information to see who is really responsible for it. Not to get the cops off his back because he's killing women. Because, he's not killing any women. He's trying to help them out.
Yeah, okay. Well, no, and that was good because we got, and maybe this is Kirklin you were referring to, but we got to see, Deborah in, a kind of fake detective mode, which was really fun. And that started with the photos of everybody with Kurt and everything. It's almost like, Taylor, we proposed that thing that he would not want because, like I said, I thought the second he found out Matt was gone for a certain amount of time, he's like, well, Matt's dead, so I'm not going to find, I'm just going to find the people. So I loved the laying of the pictures and Deborah just kind of laying out, eventually it's going to get back to you. And we got a lot of that this episode with Harrison, which we'll talk about. But it's very interesting because, the Matt thing is going to catch up to him because there's only so long. Andrew still needs him for questioning, but eventually it's still for that buck, because there's proof of him killing that buck, they're gonna want to know. So there's only so long Kurt can kind of keep this facade up, it's gonna come crumbling down. Obviously, I don't think he is going to survive this season. I think Dexter will take him out, or maybe someone else will. I don't know, but it's I don't know. Eventually it will. And even his story, I feel like he should have had a better story lined up for Angela. When she was interrogating him and he was listing the reasons why he didn't. He's like, oh, I didn't think to ask my son any of these important questions that I've been wondering all week. He's like, I was just happy to see him and he wanted money. And then he's like, oh yeah, he goes on benders. He won't even talk to me for months and stuff like that. It's it's all a little so convenient and whatnot. So
I'm really liking the character of Kurt just in his usage of in the show of Dexter, because that moment when he goes to Jim Lindsay's house, Dexter's cabin, and he's totally just kind of trying to get the lay of the land and figure out if Dexter's sus and could possibly be. I didn't even think about he could be, I don't know, intrigued in Harrison possibly taking out Matt or something like that. But I just love the moments between him and Dexter when they're comparing their sons, and he's like, no, it's Matt was a total fuck up, and he's just totally just shitting on his own. So I was kind of giggling that moment. It was rather funny. But just how like Kurt like caught Dexter in a couple instances. Even Dexter like admitted it when he walked away. He's like, "Fuck." He was fishing and I was nibbling, and it was just didn't go as smooth as the psychopath Dexter normally handles the situations. And I just liked Dexter's internal dialogue when he's thinking about Harrison, and at that point yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but at that point he's already pretty sus with Harrison, right? Dexter is.
Who, Dexter? Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's right after he kind of thought that he lied about some things.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think there's just so many like dynamics that was introduced in this episode of like people investigating each other and being suspicious of each other, whether it was Angela initially doing the interview with Harrison. I don't think she was really sus on him. She was just asking police questions, and he was immediately just being like so into like defensive and like, "No, why are you why are you asking me these questions?" Mostly towards Dexter, but I found it really enjoyable to see, just everyone conversing, whether it was Kurt and Angela, Dexter and Harrison. Like, it was just such a fun, I don't know, just heavy dialogue episode.
Well, and that's what was fun too, because like I feel like this is gonna play into the season where Kurt was taking Dexter's like, oh well, it's not always the parents' fault and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you can change things, but then Kurt was like, man, like I knew there was something not wrong. He didn't say wrong, but I just knew that he was kind of gonna be this way, and I just never stepped in, would let him get away with it, and just talk to him after about it. But he did drop the line when he was like, oh yeah, once they screw up, you got to be on that. You can't let that happen again and again. And I think that's very fitting for what's going to happen, because let's talk about Harrison now. So I want to go around the room and get everyone's opinion. Taylor Field, does Taylor have do you got a dark past, Taylor? What is your theory about what's going on with Harrison right now?
He knows what happened to his mom, and I think he knows that
public record.
Yeah, he knows that Dexter is hiding something. So I do think that he just got super triggered and just wanted to take it out and slashed on Ethan. Or Ethan called him off to the gym, like, hey, check out my drawings. And then it's like,
I got more drawings.
Yeah, I got more
check them out.
Yeah. So I do think that he has... Everything that they set up in this episode was the foundation of, okay, yeah, he does have this dark passenger. And I'm not saying that because of the ending when Dexter says it, but I'm implying, like, when he's trying to open up about what happened and like how to deal with it in his room, and Dexter was flashbacks to his child, like seeing his mom dead and chainsawed and everything. Like, there was a moment where that would have been a perfect time to bridge the gap and be like, hey, like I had this scenario with my mom and I've had to deal with this and overcome it. It's hard, and it sucks because I don't think Dexter knows that Harrison is aware of how Rita died, and I think that's a big disconnect between the two of them. So I think Dexter needs to come to the realization that, hey, Harrison is aware of how she died, and Harrison needs to get that off his chest where, okay, Dexter, like, I know this is how she died. I know you're actually hiding something. So
I'm gonna go, because then Kirklin, we always make him Switzerland, so I'm making Switzerland. So obviously I will say this as I have a little bit of bias, so maybe I'm trying to talk the show out of it. But I have somebody that I've said since this show has been announced, whatnot, I don't want Harrison to have dark pasture. I don't want to be a killer. I don't want him to have all these tendencies, because it just feels like some fan stuff. Like, all three of us could, like, I've heard so many people like, yeah, and his son could be the killer too. Just like it can just go down into like cheesy territory. So that's always been my worry about it. What I think, and this is what Emma and I were thinking, that I think he maybe was, Dexter says, and I think he nailed it right, he wanted to know what it feels like. But I think Harrison's going to be on the back burner, and I think he's regretting it. Because I feel like you and I don't know who, it's Three Eyes, so I don't know, us, we talked about it. That in the first episode 2, when we meet Harrison, really, they're establishing the whole time he's not like Dexter. He could be friendly, he has emotions, he's outgoing, he has like just like common street knowledge of stuff. When Dexter's like, oh, you're gonna be okay, he's like, yeah, I'll be fine. Like, he's fun, like he's gone off on his own. He does not come across at all like Dexter. If you watch especially the show in the flashbacks, he was a very awkward, quiet, to himself kid. And even when he learned to be more out, he's not that like talkative of a guy. Harrison feels like he operates as a normal person, and I feel like the combination of what Ethan was saying, and maybe Taylor, you might be right about he may know more, think he knows more about Dexter, because when he says, "Oh, what's wrong with me?" and Dexter says, "Oh no, what's wrong about me?" The other thing is too that they showed us he was listening to that podcast right before, and they're like, "Oh, this kid must be super fucked up." So maybe he was just thinking that, and maybe he thought maybe he did have some tendencies, but when he did it, because he didn't kill him, and like he seemed like off sea, he almost killed him. It went pretty deep, but I feel like there's a chance that he does not have a dark past, or that this was, yes, him trying out, but he's not going to go that route. And that's why I think with Kurt being like, oh, when someone does something, your child does something bad, you need to stop it before it happens again. And I'm hoping, even though I'm not sure if you two agree, did it look like Dexter was smiling at the end when he said he has a dark past?
He was.
Oh, he
happy.
definitely was.
That's fucking. Again, Dexter needs to fucking die. He needs to die and be in prison. He should not be smiling. He should be worried about his son having this same problem that he does. But no, he's like, oh, thank God, my son's like me. I can connect to. And it's like, you selfish fucking character. He has to go down. Like he's become a Walter White. He's spearheading this guy. Like he's happy he's a killer. No, and that's my hope is that Harrison tried it and he's not gonna be like Dexter. So now, Kirklin, the floor is yours.
I don't think he was so happy that his son was a killer. I think he was happy more so that it's like, oh well, Ethan fit some sort of code. He's not just some innocent person. He was about to be a school shooter, and then in that moment,
Allegedly,
he was seeing Harrison like himself. Like Deb was just kind of shit talking him earlier, like you just wanted him to be some fucked up same version of what you are, and I think he actually is that, because 10 years is a long time for not killing or anything, or just sating that desire to kill that he has, because he's just a psychopath serial killer. But I think he one, he's killed Matt, so now he's like, oh, I got that rush again, and then two, he's got his son back, and his son's starting to be pretty damn similar to him. Maybe he's like, well, I don't have to put on this facade of Jim Lindsay anymore. I can just have my son, and we can just be Dexter and son, start our own serial killer business, taking out other serial killers. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm in your camp that this is Harrison's first time just experiencing something like that. I don't know. I think he's a pretty weird kid. He saw his mom murdered. And I feel like there's so much so many fuzzy things with his backstory. And I feel like he's been carrying, call it a dark past or call it what you want, something like that with him for a while. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like he's just experienced some things like that would fit him into that category. I coming into the show, I was like you, I didn't really want him to just do the same route of what Dexter is. I feel like we are going that route, but I also feel like there'll be some sort of twist that we're not expecting and makes him different from Dexter, and doesn't just he's not just going to be Dexter and Dexter's going to be Harry. I think it's going to be something different.
I don't know. Showtime's rubbing their hands look at the new show, new seasons. We can do it and everything like that. Even though my counterpoint to you is Dexter, and he could be wrong, but he's proposing that this is his first time, in character. He's actually, because he's saying he wanted to know what it felt like, right?
No, absolutely. I feel like he could be wrong though, and more will be revealed. And if it doesn't, then I'll say I was wrong. But that's just the inkling I was getting, because I don't know. He's just, as soon as Dexter goes to the school, there's been an incident, Harrison was involved. I'm like, okay, who did Harrison beat up this time? And then no, they're all wounded. It's okay, Harrison's so sus in this instance. And I don't know, I feel like if it was his first time, he would be a lot more shaken up than just no, I'm fine. And he was playing along with his lie. He went and visited the family. It's not like he was scared, oh my God, I almost lost my good friend Ethan. I'm not going to see his
he looked
paintings
emotional
anymore.
though. He looked like he actually had some sorrow in him.
Yeah, fair enough. I feel like he got that feeling being there with the family, not just going into the hospital sorrowful. Again,
that dad sure took a heel turn. His dad seemed like he was on his side, but then he's like, I never want to fucking see you again. I was like, whoa,
you little bitch.
Yeah,
I didn't
thought
even
he
like
was
his
with
drawings.
Us. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, no, it was an interesting dynamic with the parents there. I actually liked the way the dad reacted. It was different than what I was expecting. I thought he was gonna be very aggressive with Harrison right off the bat, just get the fuck out of here. You almost killed our son. but like he was, I don't know. I think he was coming from a semi like believable route, whereas if like that's the actual situation, the mom's just completely fucked up in the head, and understandably so, right? If you just
Yeah.
found out your child had a fuck list.
Yeah, the fuck list. Yeah, not like everyone else's fuck list, unfortunately. Uh, I thought Tay
But
was getting to go. I look like you're about to dash there.
he's ready to jump in.
Yeah.
Nope.
He's
No,
not.
he's not.
He's not
Okay.
ready. No.
Yeah, so we'll see. That's what's interesting these next few weeks. 'Cause it's interesting too with it being weekly. That like when we start episode 2, we thought, well, there's no way Harrison is like Dexter, right? Because there were all these signs they emphasize that. Now, like I said, either that could go towards my theory that he was just experimenting, and then we'll find out, or that could go towards Deb, who was in his mind. He was saying because she was constantly. I love that she was their side. Like, no, it's just a story. Like people get these things wrong all the time. Again, she kept reminding him, like, no, he's emotional. He's not like you. All these things. You just want him to be like you. One of my favorite parts, like, obviously, I think my favorite scene this entire episode was when they're doing the like figuring out if Harrison's guilty or not.
Yes.
That was fantastic. Like
Yes.
the back and forth and everything. But there's just one moment where Jennifer Carpenter's on the ground. She's like, "You're crazy. Like it's all in your head." And then she's like, "He's not like you." But really, it was like the mind trying to tell Dex, like, "Yeah, you're a fucking insane person." And they show this episode. They showed a lot of him alone when he'd be talking to Deb. Like they'd zoom out, and it happened like I think 3 separate times where they showed like he is just alone. And they started to establish that in the pilot. But I think I don't know if that's going to factor in anything. I really don't think it will, but I feel like they're starting to, unlike with Harry, where it's like, oh yeah, it's just his conscience. I feel like they're really starting to play up that he's probably because he was so lonely. He's a little bit more out there than we might even anticipate, you know? Because even then, if someone walks in that gym, do they just see, no pun intended, Jim like reenacting this stuff and everything? But everything, the back and forth, the stabbing, really well done by both of them.
It's so funny. Yeah, that was definitely one of my favorite scenes in the entire episode. But I didn't even like think about the possibility of someone like walking in on the gym or something. He's just
Yelling at his sister.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we
No,
still haven't got it
it's-
confirmed from episode 2 if that girl that saw him yell in his car saw that, or was
Yeah.
that.
I don't think
know.
we're gonna get
No.
touched upon that. I think it's just a funny little scene of him freaking out, and then us, the viewers, like, oh, that girl just saw him freaking out in his car. And
That's what takes him down. This girl.
That's what takes him down,
This
yeah.
girl says something to Kurt, and Kurt's like, "Oh."
the final scene is Dexter running from Kurt's log barn.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just gets shot. Yeah.
Taylor, go ahead, Kirklin.
Well, no, we didn't hear Taylor's thoughts. I was gonna lean into some more Deb stuff.
I mean, I love Deb in this episode. Again, you guys mentioned it when they were doing the setup of just the kill scene and all that jazz. Him squaring off against her when she's trying to convince Dexter that, hey, he's normal, just let it be. I love that whole dynamic. I think it was like the most screen time we got of her too.
I think
so far,
so,
like
yeah.
in an episode. But overall, like it was really awesome. Like her defense acting as that subconscious, like, hey, just leave him alone. He's good. And I like the dialogue that we got too between Harrison and Dexter of him just like speaking like she did. Like what was it, like fuck nuggets?
Yeah,
Well-
using the lingo.
Yeah, I smell right away. But what was interesting, because in the show they established like through multiple therapists, they're like, well, as a kid he's not affected yet about this trauma, and he doesn't seem to remember any of it with Rita and stuff. But it's funny, he's like, he drops that line like, oh, your Aunt Deb used to use it all the time. He's like, oh yeah, I don't really remember that much. But then he's like, I just remember swearing, and she was super nice. So I'm interested again, does he actually not remember, just remember a few things, or is he also lying about that and he does remember a bit more than he's putting on, you know? Because just like, yeah, that seems like sure, you could remember her swearing, but Dexter leaves him when he's about 5 or 6, and I feel like that's a very specific term to I don't know, it's just, again, maybe it is, yeah, he's not really letting in on everything. And I just really hope, I really hope he's not like a big bad. Like I think I said this one episode before, I do not want some fucking reveal that he actually killed Hannah or some stuff like that. Like I do want it to be, if we're going down this route, I want him to be, I guess, an apprentice of sorts. But again, they did that already. They did that a few times, but they did that where in the last season, Dexter found like a youth that was troubled, and he took him in for a bit, and then the brain surgeon took him out. But like that's the yeah, the brain surgeon. But that's the problem is they've kind of done this before. But it's yeah.
Was that the kid that was like obsessed with like hurting animals? He's luring he's luring people to like the alligator like area in the swamp.
That was another one. That was first season, and he was gonna take him in as apprentice, but that guy killed himself. No, that last season it was a guy who like killed some woman who was cheating on, like, I don't know, who's a homewrecker. It's a long story. Either way, it was like, I can't remember, was his name Seth or I don't know. I just reviewed this season. That shows how bad it was, but. Yeah, but yeah, no, I loved it. I think too the other good thing was like seeing her emotional at the end, like realizing that Dexter might be right. It was all good stuff from Jennifer Carpenter. She was great in this episode.
No, she was my favorite in this episode, honestly, because there was just so many moments of her, like, again, shit talking Dexter, like you just want him to be fucked up like you are, like coming from that sense. And then there was really, really great emotional moments when. In that moment that you're just describing when just Harrison is using like her lingo, and then Dexter like makes a comment of it, and then Harrison asks him like, oh, do you still miss her? And he's like, she's with me all the time. And then you just see her like behind Harrison there, and she's like basically in tears. Like it was just such a great moment. And there's just so much range of her character in this episode because, like I said, she was angry. We got another like great just like comedic flash. I love when those happens.
They're just
so
like
great.
Dozens of Debs like celebrating.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
I want
so
I
loud
wish,
and like cartoony. Yeah.
Obviously, it would have been a spoiler, but I wish that was out because that would have been the thumbnail tonight if that was like public domain. So like because there's such a good image of just like all this stuff, and it's funny because it's a shout out to Dexter season 1. The very finale is he has this vision where after he killed I Struck Kill, he's walking to go look at the crime, but in his mind when he's walking in, like people are cheering and like, yeah, Dexter, he really sliced him up.
Yeah.
So it's like a good kind of callback to that. As like he does want to be here, and he always did look at himself like he's doing the right thing. He kind of is, but then there's obviously like a lot of gray area there, right? So that was a good callback.
Yeah. So we had the comedic moment with Deb, the emotional one, the angry one, and then like the scared one when she realized that like Dexter could be right. Like when he finds the razor, and she even says like the same way that Harrison's mother died, right?
Yeah.
So it was just such a great performance from her, first of all, and I just loved her usage. And again, the dynamic with Dexter, you already shouted out him like recreating the blood splatters. That was so great because again, it was like they're having this just verbal confrontation that you wouldn't get in earlier seasons when she was alive, because he'd be doing that all on his own with his dark passenger. But here she's not his dark passenger, she's just like there with him, helping him like recreate those moments. It was just so great. And yeah, it's just such a pleasant surprise to have like so much positivity on the character of Deb, because I never finished the last season, but the last 2 seasons for me was really hard because of Deb. I really just didn't like what they were doing with her character when she was, just saying that she was falling in love with Dexter. And
Ooh.
I don't know, I really didn't like the character by the end of that show. So it's great to just get like a redemption, not just with the character, but like with the actress, I guess, too. So not just leaving on such a bad note.
And I think that's the fun thing you get to do with characters that are like the Jiminy Cricket imaginary friend thing. You get like a lot of range with them, and like you said, this is stuff they could have never done. Because even when Deborah knew, like they were never really buddy like on a crime scene. Like, okay, how do we do that? Yeah, like stabbing each other, working through their divorce. So let's take an ad break, and then I want to talk about maybe a certain trendy killer we might be seeing soon. So we will be right back. And we're back. So this is what I was referring to in non-spoilers when we got the Dexter New Blood, and they're showing all the moments. When they showed Dexter as a baby, that's when I was like, fuck, here we go. Like, this is going to be some good stuff. Because anytime you see that shot of Dexter as a kid, you know, like, okay, we're going to get some good character development here. And then I literally had, like, and that's what like, you show Kirklin that moment of Deborah behind Harrison, like, smiling. That's why I do love the current writers and the showrunner. It just feels like the right type of fan service, and the way it's done. So Harrison is listening, he sees that there's a podcaster in town. Okay, goes check out the podcast. What has she done? Terrible title, in my opinion. Mary fucking kill. Lots of people are.
She's dropping a lot of F-bombs.
Yeah. A lot of
toning it down a bit.
You got to be really good. A lot of advertisers aren't going to touch you. Like, I know there's guys we fucked. They're really good, but there's you got to be great. And from what I heard in this podcast, not great. Because so far, the most unbelievable thing about Dexter New Blood has been that she started a podcast and went right into the topic immediately. Not a single asking for a like, a subscribe, a Patreon, not begging for money. So if anything's unbelievable, was her getting right into the topic, like, hey, today's a Trinity killer. He killed in threes, but really in fours. Like, and like, what a terrible podcaster. Like, I've not listened to that many true crime ones. I like them enough. I like documentaries more. But why wouldn't you save the fourth when it's like, oh, he killed in threes, but really in fours? Save that to the end of the episode. Like, really build up, and then like, oh, but there's a twist. Right away, she spoils the big twist of Trinity that he killed in fours instead of threes. She's a terrible podcaster, but that's another deal.
She's probably like an Instagram influencer, and then
100%.
that's how she promotes the podcast. And
Yeah. But anyway, so when he clicked on the podcast and he started to scroll down and it was like famous serial killers, I literally grabbed Emily by the arm like, we're going to get Trinity. And right as I saw John Lithgow's face. Now, it looked like a picture from the show, which I don't like. I would have liked something a bit more better as far as, like, I'm pretty sure that's the scene where he says, hello, Dexter Morgan. So they literally took like a screenshot from him in Miami Metro and like, here, use this. But I did think at the beginning of this episode we were gonna get Trinity because we know he's in the show as like a ghost-like figure, or that's a big twist, he's coming back. But no, like I thought for sure we were gonna get him. I even thought the episode might end with him and then we might get more next week. But I don't want to for sure say next week, but I feel like if it's not next week, it's the week after. Like we are on the precipice of seeing John Lithgow, and it's gonna be really fun.
I think it's gonna be really soon. I personally wasn't expecting him just like while he was scrolling through. My mind originally went like the Bay Harbor Butcher. I thought it was gonna be that route. But
Just
no,
picture Dexter. She figured it out.
it makes so much more sense in hindsight that it would be John Lithgow, especially just the tie that has to Harrison, and then what happens to Harrison and next. Like the following scene is when he slashes up Ethan, the artist. So sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, because technically in canon they never caught the Trinity killer. Dexter killed him in some way, but in like their world he just got away. So it's kind of
That's
that
right.
like big thing of like, could he still be like? Because legitimately, like John Lithgow's still alive and he's still not like a spry young man, but like he's acting in movies great. Like he doesn't look like he has any problems. So legitimately, if Trinity was still alive, you'd imagine he's probably still out there doing this shit. So in that world where James Jokes was the Bay Harbor Butcher who like killed himself, I feel like Trinity would even be bigger, just that mystique of like what did happen to him. Like where is he?
Yeah. No, exactly.
Taylor, what did you think about Mary fucking Kill and the whole Trinity? And when do you think we're gonna get John Lithgow?
Oh man, I almost want to say we'll get him in the next episode, but I kind of don't want to. I think we could get him. I think we could get him in the episode after. I think next episode we'll see a little bit more of Harrison's craziness, and then Dexter will finally come clean and talk it out, and we'll get like a whole flashback sequence. We'll get John Lithgow, or maybe we'll get Harrison coming up to Dexter and saying, I remember the Trinity killer walking into the house into the bathroom and killing Rita or something.
Great memory at the age of 1.
It'd be crazy to see that whole scene, like, because we never saw that scene in the original show of how it went down. So just to see it from like this alternate perspective would be crazy.
They're not doing that. There's no way
John Lithgow.
Yeah, you think they're gonna have? I did love, because I feel like the show talks about her so little. I think they're doing it on purpose, but I love too that they had a photo of Rita, and like I'm hoping that that's what I want. I really want them to talk about Rita next. But so you think Dexter, Taylor, do you think that's how he's gonna lead next episode? He's gonna start sharing his experiences?
I don't think it's how they'll start the episode, but I think they'll have some kind of common ground or something, because Dexter thinks that Harrison's like him, so he's gonna coax him, teach him the code, Harry's code, and all that stuff. So
What about you, Kirklin? You think that Dexter will be kind of oh, I kill people too, we're best friends now, or is he gonna hold that back as long as he can? Because we debated last week of like, when would Harrison find out? And we're like, oh, would he walk in on him? Would he find him moving like an like a Matt's body, stuff like that? But we could go a different route now, where he's finding out about Harrison or he's found out about Dexter by just like his spoken word, pretty much.
Well, that was something I was wondering to myself, and I was going to pose the question, like, do you think he just put the knife back in his flashlight, or is he, I don't know, going to hold on to that? Put a note, meet me in the attic at 3 p.m. on Tuesday as a surprise party with Harrison.
Put one of Ethan's drawings in there.
One of Ethan's drawings. Oh, that'd be dark. But yeah, no, I'm curious. I mean, you'll probably put it back, I guess, and then I'm picturing Dexter bringing it up at some point, though. Maybe Harrison will get like really pissed off, and then, how do you explain this? I don't know, something like that. I don't think it'll be as direct as just, oh, we're best friends now.
No.
But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting thing to tackle because I feel like the next episode or two will be Dexter like knowing that Harrison's up to something but not confronting him, and then I think maybe Harrison will do something bad again, and then Dexter will like not even just catch him doing it. Like Dexter could probably be like following him, and then like
Yeah.
maybe he takes out Zach or that bully dude. I don't know. I could see something like that happening. Then Dexter comes up to him. It's like, I can help you out. I can help you out with this,
Yeah,
but not necessarily say like I'm also a killer. He'll just like help him out from a dad point of view, and then maybe
Yeah.
it'll get revealed later.
See, and I just even feel like that school speech that he gave, like, oh, you guys are bullying Ethan, all this stuff. Like, I want people, if anyone listens to this, to tell me how
You got
if
the
I'm
Kurt.
really in the
You got the
wrong.
rose-eyed, the rosy sunglasses that Taylor's got for Kurt.
Well,
You got
it's just
that for
because what,
Harrison.
yeah, I do. It's just because what they set up, and I just feel like, I don't know. I guess you can't make the example. That's why he cut deep, because he was trying to get the kill and everything like that. I don't know. It just, that's what's a good thing about the show. It's gonna be interesting to see where we end up and stuff like that. I'm very interested in the dynamic that Dexter, and because before I always thought, okay, Trinity is gonna show up and he just gets to taunt Dexter because like, oh, I ruined your life and I got to kind of like, you know, take your son away and your wife away and stuff like that. But now there is, I think, a bit more interesting conversation. If it is he turned him into a killer, that back and forth is gonna be good. And I even thought about like, do we think Deborah's gonna be in these scenes with Trinity when he's there? I think it'll be just Dexter and Trinity.
Deborah.
Yeah, like because if he's like a ghost Trinity, like would it be like a conversation where she's also part of it, or do you think it's solo?
I'd
That's what
say
I mean.
no. I think it'll just be John Lithgow and Dexter. I don't know. Has it been stated if Rita is making an appearance or anything?
No, but I really want her to. I think they
Yeah.
kind of bring it home full circle, but you know they have not said that probably because they don't want to tip their hat or anything to that. I think John Lithgow was just too big of a name that they couldn't really keep secret because you know. But yeah, what about you, Taylor, with Deborah?
I don't really see them doing both at the same time. I feel like that would be a lot. Maybe near the end of the whole show altogether, depending on how the story progresses, you could see both of them kind of like just, I don't know, maybe you get Dexter in his courtroom and you have both John Lithgow and Deborah just screaming at him.
Why do I don't want that in the courtroom. I would want real people screaming at him, not go. Dexter's just on the stand freaking out while he's on trial, and like, yeah, we should lock him up. Yeah, so we'll see there. Taylor, what do you feel about what's going on? Because we got Angela, the podcaster, they're butting up and everything like that. How was the pitch? She looked at some of the missing persons case and she found one that was living her life. That was a runaway. But then she's like, but these three people are definitely missing. So what is your story? You help me, I help you, vice versa. So we got some information on that. Where do you think we're going to go? And do you think, like, again, does this tie maybe not to Kurt, but whoever the Took guy is, or does this tie into the billionaire thing? Or what do you take from the podcaster and her kind of coming together on this?
Well, I like that she approached, is it Angela?
Angela, yeah.
Yeah, I like that she approached Angela and just had all this information ready to go. You know, she's obviously pretty well off in her research and everything that she's doing. And I like, too, because she kind of tackled something that was a little bit unsuspected towards Angela, where she instilled the thought that, hey, this story started off with, you know, Matt, and now here we are and these missing girls, and this is still kind of like the same. I got from her that she was still using it as the same story and all connected, and I think that's what really intrigued Angela. So I like where the podcaster's coming from. I like her research. I like what she's doing. So
what about you, Kirklin? What do you think's going on now with the podcast or whatnot? And I feel I don't know. Maybe it's a bold claim to say. I feel like this podcaster might not make it. I just feel like she's a prime person that would get taken out. I don't know. I feel like she's
Kurt's gonna grab her. Come on.
Yeah, I just feel like
innocent Kurt.
I feel like she's gonna put herself in some really bad situation, you know. So
Well, it's interesting because like when she was first introduced, we didn't know who the fuck she was. She just had like her own theme song. It's like, okay, well, she's probably gonna be a character.
right. I already forgot about the yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And like at the time, it's kind of random. You know, she grew into a bigger character, just her having this newfound relationship with Angela. I love that dynamic. I think it's quite fun because I think Angela has been someone who she's been okay like on her own and doing her own police work, but I think in the early episodes of the show, like her and Dexter was a fun dynamic, but now Dexter is just preoccupied with his own dark passenger things that he's taking care of. So it's fun that Angela's going to have someone, and also diving into the whole Iris, I think was her best friend that went missing. We like got
Yeah,
some more
not Trish.
clarification on that. Not Trish, because that was something that was again sprinkled in those earlier episodes, and now we know that it was like her best friend that went missing, probably a big part of why she became a cop and like just be like built the character that she is now.
Yeah.
And I like that we're diving into that, and I think Mr. Kurt was the one that took Iris, and I think geez, what's her name, the podcaster, Mary.
Ooh, is it
Mary fucking
that,
kills. It would make sense.
Yeah. I
So, yeah.
remember the podcast name,
Yeah.
Mary fucking Kill, but
I think it is Mary, and I think she will dig a little too deep and then get caught by Kurt. But I don't know. I think she has like she has some comedy that follows her, like that moment when it's like revealed how the sergeant knows her. It's like, yeah, no, we met, we had a coffee, we had sex, it was great, and like just like airing out all the dirty laundry from the sergeant like to his captain in that moment. So that was rather fun, and I don't know. I think she's gonna be, or I hope she's gonna be like a fun character to have on screen until she meets her doom, because I don't think she's making it out.
yeah, like the actual moment when she like opened up the drink and wanted to talk, I actually did like that because I was worried this is a character that could, I don't know, get very annoying very fast, and that's what I don't want. So it's kind of, and it's less of mine at the point where this is what I said on spoilers when I was saying about the high risk, high reward. I think that's the Harrison storyline. Now, I don't think that this has like a high risk. I just think it could like bring down the show and be like, this is kind of annoying, or we check out anytime she's on. But I think that with Harrison, obviously, I think that has to be very well done. And I imagine they only established it a little bit, but she was already like, "Oh, your son's a hero! Like, congrats and stuff." So I wonder how much eventually she's ever gonna, like, you would wonder if she. No, well, you would just think that like, if she's this podcaster, did all this work, right? Like, I guess no. I guess my theory's out. I was gonna say if she's did this podcast, and if she's like does in-depth look and everything like that, and she even said like perfect family, all this stuff, yada yada yada, like. She wouldn't like. She saw Jim Lindsay, and then she didn't like. There's no correlation between Dexter and Jim Lindsay, I guess, right? So that's the thing. Like, that's where I was wondering if she was gonna catch him, but they already did that intro of, "Hey, your son's a hero. Great, move along." I thought that could be a play where, they introduced she's done a story on the Trinity Killer. She hasn't seen the Trinity, like she hasn't seen Dexter yet, but she saw Jim Lindsay, and there was nothing there. So
Yeah, absolutely.
anything else? Let me look at my notes here, but I think I hit all ideas I had.
Yeah. I don't think I really have anything else to say. Yeah, no. I thought I had more to dive into, but we pretty much hit all the heavy hitters. Kurt, no mention of that billionaire guy that Taylor thinks is the cabin killer.
What about Ethan? Ethan is his family's selling his house. He's out of there. He's gonna have a very bad growing up now.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Because like even Harrison, when he did his little speech in the gym there, it was interesting because, for one, Harrison's a very bad guy in this moment doing his heroic speech. Ethan is a major victim of just like bullying and like just his environment that put him to the stage, but he's still a bad guy because of the fuck list that we're joking about and just the other things. And then like he's probably going to be just majorly fucked up going forward, whether he becomes a big bad criminal or something like this. I don't know. Maybe down the line we'll get a Dexter rebirth. It'll be called Harrison, and cross paths with Ethan. He's the new Trinity Killer.
That would scare me a lot. I don't. Yeah, he's after. I know What's Your Mom and everything like that. Yeah, no, that would be tough.
I gotta say too, what's her name? Audrey. Angela's stepdaughter. She is so fucking thirsty for that Harrison.
Yeah, when she stood up and clapped or anything.
She's just like staring at him. Oh my god, it was funny.
But at least I will give this one thing because I was just laughing about it because we last week are like, well, I hope they really refer back to this Ethan thing and they talk about it in its actual plot point, not just there. It was like the main plot point of the episode and they addressed it right away. So again, I really like that because we had some worry like, what if it's just like addressed a little bit, but really it's nothing. But I like that they set that up that boom right away. it was if Harrison does have a code, that was like his like way to do it. But I don't know. I don't know. All
And
depends on next week for
and
me
the
and my
whole thing with
ruling.
that story with Harrison and like, do you think it went down? I mean, we know that Harrison was lying, but do you think Ethan was wanting to do some sort of school shooting situation? Or like in the back of my mind before it was really touched upon, I'm like, I wonder if like Harrison's so fucked up he's like trying to push like Ethan to do something like this. But I've gone back on that theory because I don't know, like he seems, it's so strange, because he did like he attacked this guy, framed it
Mhm.
on him, and he's still like standing up for the guy, but also like he had
That's
no
what I'm
reason to
saying.
really attack the kid. And
That's
then
what I'm
it's
saying.
just
There's
very
a chance.
strange.
There's a chance. That's
There
why
is
he's
a
acting
chance,
strange, you know.
but I think I'm not satisfied with the story that even us as the viewer think happened. Like it just, I feel like there's still too many unknowns to really put a pin on what actually happened. And
yeah.
because I was waiting for something bigger from Harrison to get revealed. Like I don't know. Like I said, I thought maybe he was pushing Ethan to do it. Ethan's like, no, maybe I shouldn't actually do this, and that's when he cut him up there. Or like, did he just cut him up randomly? Like, why were they even there?
Well, I think he got him to go there. I think the reason is he was using that as like, well, if this all goes bad, I can say this is like, if you were to do that to any random kid or whatnot, they might not believe him, right? But if you do it to Ethan, who like he has his backstory of like a shooter, he has his F list,
Mhm.
everything like that. I think that's why Harrison kind of prompted him. Like he said, he did. Like he obviously he set him up, but like I think he really set the whole thing up.
Was he like, hey Ethan, can I see your drawings that are so good? I wanna
100%.
have them,
I
and then
wanna
he
see
like
more.
planted them on him. Yeah,
Draw
I
me
don't know.
some of
I was
your
waiting
own.
for something more to be revealed. It was a little too gray, which they
Yeah.
probably did strategically to keep us guessing.
Well, I did. That's one thing that tipped me off that Harrison wasn't telling the truth because right when that scene wasn't shown, it was told to us. I was like, okay, something's up. Because right away
Yeah.
it's just like, why wouldn't we have seen that? That feels like a very vital thing to see. This Ethan moment and then Dexter like that where he like caught the stab wound and is like that doesn't make any sense. And I will say probably my least favorite thing in the show so far. It was again just a minor complaint, but Angela calls him. He's like, "There's been an incident at the school. Harrison's involved," and then he just hangs up. The right move is, as the show, you cut while he's still in the show, and then you leave it like up for dramatic pause. Like, what happened? The fact that his own girlfriend was like, "Hey, an incident happened. Harrison's involved," and then hung up on him. What the fuck is that? Like, imagine doing that to your like someone that has a kid, and just like that's all you tell them. Like, it's just like. Especially this is your boyfriend, just be like he's okay, like or it's not his fault. Like just to be like there's an incident, Harrison involved. Click, and it's like what the fuck?
She
Like,
didn't even call him either. He called her first.
yeah, no, she's got busy things. She's I don't know. Taylor, we're nearing the end here. Do you have anything to shout out?
No, nothing specifically. Just that I'm interested to see what happens with Kurt.
Yeah, that. Well, we definitely are. We're waiting.
And we also got
client.
we got a weird scene too of that rich oil guy just like standing there like staring at something.
We got a scene. I didn't think he was in
I
this.
thought we
episode.
got a scene. Maybe I'm like I thought we got a scene of him in this episode just like watching something.
I didn't see that. Did you watch episode 3 accidentally again?
Maybe.
This whole episode, that's what he's been talking.
He's like,
about.
I don't think Kurt's evil, guys.
Yeah. What did Harrison do? I didn't see him do this. Well, ladies and gentlemen, next week, which is crazy, we'll be at the halfway point of Dexter New Blood. It's episode 5.
Crazy.
I think this was a really good one. All got lots of praise. Obviously, yeah, I think we covered everything a lot quicker than I thought we will, but I guess it's because like they're all in big chunks of the things that happen. So next week, I think is going to be, it's obviously going to be interesting because now we got a whole new problem on our hands. So we'll have to see what happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning into this Dexter review, and I promise when you hear from us next, not be boring.
Peace.